the Prime Minister works to clear doubt about the economy. The opposition hits out yet again at the government. Manam Bill to be passed by November.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Sunday's news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has appeared on MTV's Talk Picture program saying that the state of the PNG economy remains in a manageable position and that critics aligned with former Treasury consultants should stop attempting to talk down the economy. His comments come days after the release of the mid-year economic and fiscal report that analysts say indicate a sharp decline in growth and a spike in public debt. The PM has also come down hard on the Treasury Department for suggesting that budget deficits will reach 9.4%, further stating that the figures were misleading and that Treasury is yet to produce an independent analysis on the mid-year fiscal and economic report.
The PM was in the MTV studio this morning to put some clarity on the debate surrounding the state of the economy, with analysts predicting a crisis of proportions similar to the Asian economic crisis of the 1990s. The PM worked to dispel the views.
Our foreign exchange reserves are at about 9 months cover. That's probably one among the highest in many parts of the world. Many parts of the world, the import cover is only about 3 months. We have got 9 months. Our exchange rates are stable. Of course, our debt to GDP is very stable. Today, it runs at about 33% of the GDP.
The points that have come to the fore are the cuts will be made to areas of spending that are deemed non-essential. Again, where those cuts will be made, we're not too sure yet. And that health, education and infrastructure will remain untouched.
Can you give us a specific example or some examples of the areas that may be cut?
Well, of course, as I said, some of the development budgets where we've got some development projects that are on the list for this year, those are areas that will be cut. We will do as much savings as projects and we'll defer them to next year. And I think that is one of the top priorities. And non-priority areas where departments can be able to defer their own internal projects to the following year or into 2017, that is the cuts that we will encourage them to do. Health and education are too important.
Total debt today stands at 54 billion kina, and that represents about 34% of debt to GDP. In total, 60% of it is public domestic debt, 30% is concessional loans, that's money borrowed from overseas sources, and 10% is commercial type loans. There are key areas of revenue collection that need to improve, and focus areas now are the collection of tax liabilities. It's the responsibility of the IRC, customs duties and dividend payments from state-owned enterprises, all of which amount to 2 billion kina.
Generally, the Prime Minister is of the view that the state of the economy is manageable and that talking up the economy is crucial for stability. Now, Treasury, meanwhile, is yet to provide an in-depth analysis on the mid-year economic and fiscal report. Scott White, National EMTV News.
And Scott White's exclusive interview with Prime Minister Peter O'Neill will be aired tonight at 7:30 p.m. on Talk Picture. Opposition leader Don Pollier says health and education may not see big cuts, but other areas will be affected. Mr. Pollier says all government services embrace each other and the government must be careful. He criticized the government's unnecessary expenditure on some projects implemented this year.
This morning, the opposition leader was attending a wedding ceremony at the Rainbow SDA Church. But this did not stop him from airing his concerns on the state of the country's economy. Speaking after the wedding, Mr. Pollier said health and education may be prioritized, but other government infrastructures will face unfavorable effects.
You cannot deliver health education with devoid of infrastructure services provided on the ground. All these departments and the network of government in the country, they all intertwine, they work together in correlation.
Mr. Pollier pointed fingers to the government's excessive spending in some of the projects completed this year.
There will be cut, simply because they have overspent beyond affordability outside of budget.
However, earlier today, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says budget cuts will be made and the budget will be revised in Parliament's October sitting.
About the priorities of readjusting the budget to make sure that we cater for those cuts through an appropriation bill in October. And of course, we will plan for the next 12 months in 2016. So what we are working is almost a 17-month program.
Mr. O'Neill also revealed that the government is pushing SOEs to pay debts to the state, totaling around 2 billion kina.
If we do nothing, the economy will get worse. But we are managing the expenditure levels, and we are also taking the revenue side, where we are trying to make sure that people or government money are collected.
The Prime Minister maintained that PNG's economy is manageable despite overwhelming speculation in the media. Jacob Power Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader says government's intention to release a supplementary budget at the end of this year is not appropriate. Mr. Pollier says the slow decline in government revenue in the first quarter of the year was a sign for the government to react.
So this so-called supplementary budget that the government has talked about is coming very, very late. It is not the right time because the symptoms or the signs of a falling economy, a decline in the revenues of the country, did show the signs much earlier on.
You're watching National EMTV News. Ahead in the news, a new member for Goilala Open to be declared soon and Manam Restoration Bill will be passed, says Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Counting for the Goilala Open by-election is winding down, with a winner expected to be declared within 24 hours. After elimination 17 at 4 p.m. this afternoon, Pangu Party man William Samb is leading with 2,296 votes. National Alliance candidate Alex Robert is in second place with 2,194 votes, while independent candidate Matthew Poya is trailing in third place with over 1,890 votes.
With just 2 hours before a winner is declared, counting officials are aiming to complete the elimination rounds by 12 o'clock come Monday. John Konga from Waitape local level government was excluded in the 16th elimination, and Titus Girau from Tapini LLG excluded in the 17th elimination. Today's counting was conducted under the watchful eyes of the 3 assistant returning officers. Though only 3 eliminations were done today, it was slower than yesterday's counting, the ARO said. Counting is expected to continue into the night until the 20th elimination is reached, before it will be suspended for day 7. Meanwhile, counting for the West Sepik provincial by-election was affected by the continuous power outages in Vanimo. Counting was suspended at 2 yesterday because there was no balance on the progressive tally between the electronic transcript and the physical ballot papers. Electoral Commissioner Sir Andrew Trawen had called on PNG Power to rectify the issue and allow the counting to proceed. After count 7 yesterday, independent candidate Tony Wowo is leading with 3,840 votes, followed by Ori Panombo on 2,738, and in third place PNG candidate and National Alliance partyman Amkat Mai. Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Acting Education Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra says one of the key factors to PNG's struggling education system is unreliable data. Dr. Kombra says relevant government agencies are collecting data, but more analysis and verification is needed. He made these statements during the launch of the Universal Basic Education Report in Port Moresby recently. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has expressed disappointment over the slow delivery of relief supplies to the people of Manam affected by ongoing volcanic eruptions. He has also instructed his office to take charge of the relief delivery, which will begin tomorrow. On the same note, he told EMTV the Manam Restoration Authority Bill will be passed by government in October if the tussle between politicians and other parties in Medang continue.
More than a week after the first minor eruption on Manam Island, authorities have been slow in getting relief supplies to the island. At the weekend, frustrated locals protested when the media travelled to the island. Water is contaminated and food gardens have been destroyed by ongoing ashfall. This morning, the Prime Minister said he had instructed his office to begin delivery of supplies tomorrow because the people tasked with the delivery weren't moving fast enough.
Only yesterday we had another eruption on Manam Island, and now still our agencies of government have not mobilized to go there. I had to instruct my own department to take charge of that, and we will be sending a team with some relief supplies to go and organize relief supplies in Medan so that our people of Manam Island can have access to clean water, some food, some medicines. We will take priority in mobilizing that very early in the morning tomorrow.
Another outstanding issue, the Manam Restoration Bill. Ongoing disagreements between local Medang politicians over the makeup of the administration was an issue causing delays. By November, if outstanding matters aren't resolved, the government will use its numbers to pass the bill and have it implemented.
Today we've got a bill before Parliament for Manam Restoration Authority Bill. Mainly that bill is to try and manage the affair through an independent body, trying to get politics and all the other interest groups away from this particular authority that we are trying to set up so that it can work for the benefit of the people of Manam. That is to manage the resettlement exercise, including buying land and making sure that we settle the families properly along the mainland.
After the long delays, the government will have to manage the large numbers of people in what used to be care centres and the uncertainty and lack of confidence that still remains. Scott Wide, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports is next. We'll have some news on World Netball Championships, local netball in Gaira Village and rugby. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Netball World Cup in Sydney began on Friday. The two Pacific Island nations who qualified have had a slow start to their campaigns and are yet to manage a win. In the opening matches, Fiji went down to Wales 52-59 and Uganda 61-40. And Samoa suffered a defeat against Jamaica 90 points to 44 and Scotland 47 to 36. Competition favourites Australia and New Zealand are breezing through the preliminary rounds undefeated and are looking strong to make the finals. Gaira Netball Association has its sights set on competing at the upcoming Netball National Championships next month. The competition looks at getting more girls involved, developing their playing skills and improving the growth of netball within Gaira.
In the competition's inaugural year, the Gaira Netball Association looks to get more young women involved in the sport and see it grow.
Gaira Netball Association is the first time. We've been running on our own for last donkey years. We've been going together with the rugby, so it was under Gaira Social and Sports Association. For the first time this year, we've gone on our own, Gaira Netball Association, where it's run by women alone. Okay, our vision is to empower young women and to develop and identify those hidden skills so we can try and push them up into the national and hopefully into the purpose.
The association also aims to field teams to compete at the Netball National Championships in September.
Selection to the Kairuku, we affiliated to Kairuku Netball Association because currently the federation is going districts. So we affiliated to Kairuku Hiri District. Kairuku Hiri District is affiliated to the federation. So we're going for the championships on 21st to 28th of September and the girls are looking forward to it.
The village has seen a lot of interest in the sport with girls as young as 7 and 8 eager to be a part of the competition.
The little ones, even we have under 7s and under 8s, although they're too young, so we've done a little division for under 8s where we get them to play before the under 10s, and then we have the 10s, 13, and there are teams that are really full. So in some clubs, the 7 new players go on at halftime, they are off, and the 7 new players go back on again. So they want to have chance or give chance to everybody to have a game. So that's the interest.
Guyra Netball Association hopes to see more young women get involved in the sport and see the competition grow and become more competitive in the years to come. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
To rugby union now, and the Australian Wallabies ruled the Bledisloe battleground as Nick White proved the unlikely hero following the Aussies' 27-19 win over the All Blacks at ANZ Stadium in Sydney last night. The All Blacks went into the half-time break leading 6-3 thanks to Daniel Carter penalty goals. But the Wallabies came back strong in the second half, and Brumbies number 9, White, turned the game on its head with a late try and a penalty goal to secure the dramatic win. The win sees the Wallabies claim the Rugby Championship and move within a victory of breaking their 13-year Bledisloe Cup drought. And Trukai Sports ends here. Next, I'll bring you the weather details for tonight and tomorrow.
Trukai Sports.
And taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, Port Moresby, Popondetta and Daru, fine weather and mostly fine for Alatau. In the Umasa region, Ley and Vanimo, mostly fine, Medang and Wewak, fine as well. In the New Guinea Islands, fine and windy for Kokopo and Kimbe, fine with fresh southerly winds for Buka and mostly fine for Lorengau and Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, fine weather, mostly fine in Mendi and Wabeg and fine with variable winds for Goroka and Kundiawa. Look at the shipping forecast, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of Finchafen to Vitias Strait, CSC Island to Long Island and New Britain to New Island. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Keramat to Yule Island to Hood Point to Samurai Island, seas 0.5 to 2.0 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 1.5 to 3.0 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, seas 1.5 to 3.0 meters. Waters of Finchafen including Vitias Strait, CSC Island to Long Island, seas 2.5 to 3.0 meters. And waters west of Long Island to Medang to Bogia to Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1.0 to 2.0 meters. Waters of New Ireland to New Britain, seas 2.5 to 3.5 meters. And waters of Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG waters. Coral Sea sees moderate with southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea sees moderate to patches rather rough to southeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots. Bismarck Sea sees moderate to patches rough with southeast to easterly winds at 20 to 34 knots. And Pacific Ocean sees moderate to rather rough with southerly winds at 15 to 25 knots. And that has been the news, sports and weather for today, Sunday, the 9th of August 2015. From the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Have a safe working week. Good night.